welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Wednesday, March 15th, 2017, the Ides of March. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Transport for London has begun admitting liability in relation to compensation claims from the November Croydon tram crash that killed 7 people. 51 others were injured when a tram derailed as it entered a sharp bend at almost 4 times the speed limit on November 9th. A number of survivors and victims' families are suing Transport for London, which manages the network, and Trans Operations Limited, a subsidiary of First Group, which runs the trams. Insurers for both of those organizations have written to a law firm handling damages for the claimants, in which they admitted liability for the purposes of your client's civil litigation claim. A specialist serious injury lawyer from Slater and Gordon, Richard Garrity, which represents 2 of the victims, said, "Our clients are relieved that the defendants have admitted liability in the Croydon train crash case. This could be a multi-million-pound settlement." A nor'easter and blizzard largely spared New York City and Philadelphia yesterday, but walloped other parts of the region with heavy snow and high winds. The late winter storm brought cancellation of about 8,800 American flights between Monday and Wednesday, closing thousands of schools. Yesterday was mainly a work-from-home day for most of the people in the Atlantic northeastern region. Pirates have hijacked an oil tanker off the coast of Somalia, the first incident since 2012, the first piracy incident. The ship was the Aris 13. It's an oil products tanker registered in Sri Lanka. It has a dead weight of 1,800 tons. It was built in 1990. This is a relatively small tanker. Very large crude carriers run from 150,000 deadweight tons up to 250,000 tons. The Aris 13 had been carrying fuel from Djibouti to Mogadishu. Apparently, the ship has been hijacked by pirates. There are conflicting stories as to whether a ransom demand has been made or not. The Bolivian charter airline Lamia was left significantly underinsured after its in-force liability coverage was canceled just months before the fatal crash that killed 71 people in November of last year. It's understood, according to the Insurance Insider, that Lamia had previously purchased a $300 million liability cover, but replaced it with a $25 million limit liability cover before the crash of Flight 2933 en route to Medellin, Colombia. Senior market sources said that the reduced limit, which is going to pay out on the claim, was substantially lower than the cover that would typically be recommended for a company flying planes with this number of passengers on board. The crashed aircraft, the Avro RJ-85, had 77 people on board. The presence of a top-flight Brazilian football team, Chapecoense, on the flight will likely exacerbate the cost of the crash, as liability claim sizes are based on the current and future potential earnings of those on board. The policy was placed in the London market by Aon. Sources indicate that Aon strongly advised the airline to buy a larger liability limit, a recommendation that went unheeded by Lamia. The Sikorsky S-92 helicopter crashed early yesterday morning during an overnight mission off the Irish coast. The Irish Coast Guard was operating the helicopter. They were trying to help a fishing vessel that required a medical evacuation. The pilot has confirmed killed. 3 more aircraft crew members are still missing. The Sikorsky S-92 has been subject to intensified inspections following multiple incidents of pilots reporting loss of control of tail rotors. The FAA in March of this year updated an airworthiness directive requiring S-92 operators to inspect tail rotor bearings and ensure that they rotate freely. The company charged with managing the fleet of the Irish Coast Guard Sikorskys are CHC Helicopter. It's a company that has a parent in Dallas and Irving, Texas, called CHC Group, which has recently completed a Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceeding. The German airline Lufthansa has reached a preliminary agreement on a labor deal with its thousands of pilots that would cut pension liabilities and prohibit strikes through the year 2022. The drawn-out talks with the Vereinigung Cockpit Union have led to several costly work stoppages and disrupted hundreds of flights over the past year. Lufthansa labor relations head said that the deal was breakthrough and would end the dispute. two sides said details still remain to be worked out. There is an announcement that came out of the London market this morning saying that Lloyds and the AIR-owned firm Areum have developed a casualty model which breaks liability risk modeling down into blocks, making the modeling of casualty exposures more akin to that of property catastrophe risk. If this is true, this is indeed going to be quite a breakthrough. Casualty typically represents human behavior, which is very difficult to model. Unlike property cat, which has a more stochastic model, randomly determined, if you will, having a random probability that can be analyzed statistically, casualty modeling is sort of in its infancy. Casualty models revolve around human behavior, which is near impossible to predict, and traditionally, casualty underwriting has been largely based on historical data supplemented by gut feel. So there's going to be significant interest in this as people begin to test the model to see whether or not it holds up. If it does, it could open the door to much more predictability in casualty risk and perhaps allow great reinsurance to the alternative capital market that wishes to come in to underwrite this risk. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.